The National Electrical Code, or NEC, does not specifically prohibit the use of type NM cable, commonly known as nonmetallic sheathed cable, inside the liquidtight flexible nonmetallic conduit, often referred to as liquidtight or flexible nonmetallic conduit. However, there are crucial considerations that must be addressed to ensure a safe and compliant installation. The primary concerns revolve around ampacity, proper support, and securement of the conduit. Firstly, ampacity. When installing conductors and conduit, it is imperative to consider the potential for heat buildup, which can reduce the ampacity of the conductors. Ampacity refers to the current carrying capacity of a conductor, typically measured in amps. The NEC provides tables and guidelines for determining the appropriate ampacity of conductors based on factors such as conductor size, insulation type, and ambient temperature. When NM cable is installed in conduit, the heat dissipation characteristics can change, potentially leading to a reduction in ampacity. To address this, the NEC requires that the ampacity of the conductors be derated or adjusted accordingly. This derating process involves applying correction factors to the ampacity ratings to account for the increased heat buildup within the conduit. The specific derating factors will depend on the number of current carrying conductors in the conduit and the ambient temperature. It is essential to consult the appropriate NEC tables, such as those found in Article 310 of the NEC, to determine the correct derating factors for the specific installation conditions. Secondly, proper support and securement. The NEC mandates that conduit systems be properly supported and secured to ensure their mechanical integrity and prevent strain on the conductors and connections. This requirement applies regardless of whether the conduit contains NM cable or other types of conductors. The support and securement methods must be suitable for the type of conduit being used and the environment in which it is installed. For liquidtight flexible nonmetallic conduit, the NEC specifies requirements for support spacing and securement methods in Article 350.30a. These requirements typically involve using straps, clamps, or other approved means to secure the conduit to structural elements of the building. The spacing between supports must be in accordance with the NEC tables or manufacturer's instructions to prevent excessive sag or movement of the conduit. In addition to support and securement, it is also important to ensure that the conduit is properly terminated at enclosures and fittings. Liquidtight connectors must be used to maintain the integrity of the conduit system and prevent moisture or contaminants from entering the conduit. These connectors should be installed in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions and tightened to the appropriate torque to ensure a secure and watertight connection. It is worth noting that while the NEC does not prohibit the use of NM cable and liquidtight flexible nonmetallic conduit, some local jurisdictions or authorities having jurisdiction, often referred to as AHJ, may have additional requirements or restrictions. It is always advisable to consult with the local AHJ to determine if there are any specific rules or regulations that apply to the installation in question. Furthermore, the NEC does not intend for NM cable to be installed in wet locations. While encasing the NM cable inside liquidtight conduit will keep the cable dry, it does not change the intended use of the cable to be used in dry locations only. It is also important to consider the specific application and environment in which the NM cable and conduit will be installed. If the installation is subject to physical damage, exposure to corrosive substances, or other harsh conditions, it may be more appropriate to use a different type of wiring method that is specifically designed for those conditions. For example, rigid metal conduit or electrical metallic tubing may be more suitable for installations where physical protection is required. In summary, while the NEC does not explicitly prohibit the use of an NM cable in liquidtight flexible nonmetallic conduit, it is crucial to carefully consider the ampacity, support, and securement requirements outlined in the NEC. The ampacity of the conductors must be derated to account for the increased heat buildup within the conduit, and the conduit must be properly supported and secured to ensure its mechanical integrity. Additionally, local codes and regulations should be consulted to determine if there are any specific requirements or restrictions that apply to the installation. Always use appropriately rated materials and consider the environment. The relevant sections of the NEC for this discussion are 334.15a and 350.30a. NEC Section 334.15 addresses the protection from physical damage. It states that NM cable must be protected from physical damage where necessary by conduit, electrical metallic tubing, Schedule 80 polyvinyl chloride conduit, or other means. It's important to note that this section doesn't mandate the use of conduit in all situations, but rather when the cable is exposed to potential physical damage. The specific type of conduit mentioned, such as Schedule 80 polyvinyl chloride, indicates that the NEC recognizes the use of conduit for protecting NM cable. NEC Section 350.30 covers the securing and supporting of liquid-tight flexible metal conduit and liquid-tight flexible nonmetallic conduit. This section provides detailed requirements for how these types of conduits must be secured and supported. The general requirement is that the conduit must be securely fastened in place within 12 inches of every box, cabinet, fitting, or other conduit termination. This ensures that the conduit is properly supported and prevents strain on the connections. The NEC goes on to specify support requirements such as supports being installed every 4.5 feet, or the supports meet the requirements outlined in Table 350.30a. So, to reiterate, the NEC permits the use of NM cable in liquid-tight flexible nonmetallic conduit under certain conditions. These conditions primarily involve addressing ampacity rating and adhering to proper support and securement methods as outlined in NEC sections 334.15 and 350.30a. The flexibility to choose this installation method can be advantageous in situations where flexibility is needed. The proper installation is still required.